So a few months ago, I made a video on my channel talking about my journey on being on YouTube thus far, last 2 years, uploading consistently on a few different YouTube channels. Just so much different content that I've made on YouTube. Roughly, like if I had to say, around 300 videos, including shorts, including live streams, including my gaming content, including my films. Just so much that I've done on YouTube the last 2 years. It's been kind of insane because I've done so much different niches. Red Dead Redemption videos, which I started doing, Red Dead Redemption shorts, and then I transitioned into filmmaking a year and a half ago, and that's why I want to make this video, just kind of talking about my journey just making movies itself. YouTube and movies, those are two completely different things, but to me, I can kind of combine it into one, the content and what I just upload on here on YouTube. I've made about 7 or 8 different movies and short films on this YouTube channel, and each one is completely different. When I was first starting on late 2023 to 2024, which I made the bulk of my movies in that year, I didn't really know what I was doing. But looking back and what I was feeling in the moment, I was just so confident in the movie. Me and my friends, we just decided to go on the whim, just start creating these projects that we wanted to do for a long time now. And the more I think about 2023 and the more I think about my past YouTube channels, I said before, I've been doing YouTube consistently for 2 years, but overall I've been doing YouTube for over 10 years. So many different YouTube channels, drawing YouTube channels, Lego stop motions, you really name it. I've done so much other than gaming and making movies and film reviews and stuff like that. I've just done so much, and now I'm doing even more, live streams, podcasts, and all this crazy stuff. And the films itself have been, obviously, like I said before, something that I've been wanting to do for so long. And creating YouTube videos, that's always been an inspiration from movies itself. I think, the stem from making movies comes from watching movies, obviously. That's something I've always been passionate about my whole life, is just making movies, making videos and stuff. I remember my first memory of me with a camera with Lego Thomas the Tank Engine or something like that. It's always been a part of me just to make videos and to make films overall. But really just the start of making movies itself is completely different from making YouTube videos, because obviously making YouTube videos, you're there to entertain the audience. For example, for my fun-tages and my funny moments in my gaming channel I did last year, a lot of those videos were really great, making the weird editing and just funny stuff overall. Really, those are strictly for entertainment, and those only last 10 to 20 minutes. You have kind of that brief window where you have kind of a viewer or audience, and some of these videos have got thousands and thousands of views. I think one of them has 20,000, which isn't crazy for compared to other people who have millions, but for me it still means a lot, because I think growing up, I always wanted that kind of audience. 20,000 people saw one of my Red Dead Redemption videos. That's so crazy to me. And it's one of my favorite videos I've ever created, honestly. It's called, what was it called? How quickly can we spend $20,000 in Red Dead Redemption 2? And funny enough, it got 20,000 views. But basically, it was at the end of the game, you get $20,000. And in Red Dead Redemption, that's a lot of money, and I was just seeing how quickly you can spend that. But just shifting over to films, it's more story-based. You go based off the story, you go based off pacing and stuff. And making short films overall is, a different beast. 10 to 20 minute mark, like I was saying before, you have that window to entertain the audience, but it's so different because you have to tell a story, you have to tell this pacing. And for me, storytelling is everything. I love, I love great immersive stories. Like I said before, I love films. I think growing up with Star Wars, Marvel, those big immersive storylines, that is my bread and butter, and that's what I always love about going to the movies, going to the cinemas, is just seeing the overarching story, all these different characters, all these different plot lines, going over multiple years and stuff. And that's why I'm such a also big fan of Red Dead Redemption 2 and GTA 5, is because those games have great stories also, and I just genuinely am attracted to long immersive kind of storylines, and in film and gaming and even shows, but mostly movies is obviously my main thing. But when I'm making movies, I really obviously writing them. I wrote them, I directed them, I edited them. All these movies I did on my channel, these like last 8 that I've done pretty much everything from production to post-production, and it's been really crazy, especially for my next project, which I'll kind of touch base on it later. But starting out, it's like I had my friends aboard, but I was doing everything. Starting out with The Weeknd, which maybe you guys seen that on this channel. I talked about it a lot. I talked about the behind the scenes. I reacted to it a few months ago about, its 1-year anniversary. And I think I said before, like, yeah, back then when I was making it, I thought it was hot shit. I thought it was like the best thing since sliced bread and stuff. And same goes with Pick Up at Arby's. That's my most... It's not my most popular movie, but it's one of my favorites, and it's what I guess my friends and kind of my circle know me. Like, no, that's my famous movie from my collections thus far is Pick Up at Arby's. Basically, it's a story about this Uber Eats guy who picks up the wrong order at Arby's, and he gets thrown into this mafia sort of deal and stuff. And when I'm writing it, I really have everything kind of intertwined, and the backstory and this and that. What I've noticed rewatching a lot of these movies is that it's hard for me to really get immersed in the story, and I hope people really like understand what the film is about, like what the character is, and I hope the ending makes kind of sense, because really I think when I was making these, I was doing a lot of overthinking. Obviously, like back then, I'm nowhere as good as I am now, because right now I'm making better stuff. My writing has been improved so much. I think my writing back then, the more I look back on it, the more I look back on the movies themselves. I genuinely love watching them. They're so great, but like the story, the pacing, the editing, always could use some work. That's like my biggest thing is like I always look back in it and I always think like, shit, like that could have been better. But to be honest, I'm going to be saying that for the next few years, because as I keep improving, I'm going to look back at my last projects and just see the flaws. And that's just natural with, I think, any filmmaker or any like project, person in general, even YouTubers and stuff. Like, I know my YouTube videos are good. And honestly, like when I look back at them, sure, there are some moments which I think I could do better. Like, I remember making my Red Dead Redemption videos. I was recording like all my lines on my iPhone and like the kind of the voice memos and stuff. And I had like background noise. The audio is pretty terrible, but eventually I looked into mics. I have a podcast mic back there. So I've upgraded my equipment over the years. So for the last 2 years, I used my iPhone. I actually have a camera today. I actually have a camera that I'm using, and I have been using for last few months. So it just comes down to, obviously what you have available, but also working your way up from what resources that you have. And the more I think about like why I actually started and, not waiting for anyone to tell me or anyone to really hurry me up, is because like I really wanted to wait. I think this is before. I wanted to wait to, get bigger on YouTube, have more money, and just be in a better position in life before I started making movies. And I think I realized like that was never really going to happen. I needed to start making movies to get to that stage of life, where I can say, I obviously get more money. That's stuff anyone needs, bigger home, bigger this, but like there's no perfect timing. And Joel Haver has been like a very, awesome guy and a big inspiration. Basically, if you don't know who Joel Haver is, he's this YouTuber who does, animation shorts, but he also does feature films. And he does them completely for free. He just does them with his friends, stuff on YouTube, just kind of like how I was. And his philosophy with filmmaking is just make it for free, make it now. It doesn't matter if you have the right equipment or whatever. I just thought that, was so inspiring for me, because I've listened to that word from him for a long time, but it took me a while to actually make the steps, because I had to go through, the patterns of the ups and downs on YouTube, the inconsistent viewership and views. Obviously, like I said, like I got thousands of views on my Nick Parr channel, my gaming channel, but I had ups and downs. Like there was I had a lot of bad months where the views kept going down and down. And I just realized like, I'm waiting for these perfect moments, but everywhere I look, it's turning the opposite way. And that's why I got into filmmaking. That's why I really wanted to go in here, because I realized there is no perfect timing. I just got to do it and just see where it goes. You know, I'm a year and a half later, and, you know, obviously still nothing big, but, you know, 100 subscribers. I'm doing pretty well. I'm enjoying the process so far. But like I was saying before about rewatching some of my films, I rewatched, you know, The Sunshine State, the Scrap Project that I did, you know, Pick Up Arby's. One of my biggest things is I always want to feel like immersed in the moment and immersed in the scene and immersed in the storyline. You know, like I was saying, I love these giant, enormous, big, immersive storylines with all these different characters, and, you know, that's long. This long story. But obviously, I'm making these short films, which is enough. But I can never feel immersed in the moment. It's because I always like look at the movies and I'm watching them. Like I was watching Pick Up Arby's last night, but I kept thinking about just like the process of it. I can never really feel focused on in the moment and what was going on in the scene, because I just kept thinking about me shooting that scene, like the scene, you know, where I'm chasing Evan around the neighborhood basically with my car, and I think the scene turned out okay. I think back then I thought like, whoa, this is really cool. But now I'm like, yeah, it is an okay scene. It came out all right. But I just kept thinking about like how we actually shot that scene. It was like 1,000,000 degrees out. Me and Evan we just shot on a whim. We just went out and shot in this very like posh neighborhood, and just hoped no one saw us with fake guns and fake like ski masks and shit like that. But like I said before, everything that I watch in terms of just my movies overall, not including my YouTube videos, but just my movies, I just think back to the moments of like when I was writing them, when I was creating them, you know, the 5 a.m. mornings when I got up here and just edited on my computer. That's what I think about when I rewatch these movies. And I realized like the dream really isn't about the end result. You know, I think when I was really coming into filmmaking, I really was like, yeah, I just really want to make the best content possible with all these like, you know, great stories and these great movies. Now, obviously, yeah, that is still the goal, but really, I think the more like I've done this multiple times now, and including this next project that I'm working on, I realize the main thing that I take away from is actually the moment of shooting it. The moments that we're actually filming it with the camera, with the actors, with my friends around, that's what I truly remember, and that is what I want to make obviously the best part of the whole process. And whenever I go out to film these movies, I always had the best time of my life, you know, with all these great people, including this next project, which, you know, I haven't said too much about this channel just because I really want to be focused on it. I've been working on it for about 6 months now. It's been a crazy journey getting all these people. I've learned so much. I can make like honestly like 10 videos talking about the behind the scenes, getting producers, getting crew members, getting actors. But I'll delve deep in that when I have the chance. But right now I'm just full focus on completing it and making it happen. And obviously, like I said before, making the best content as possible, but realizing that at the end of the day, yeah, sure, people will love my movies. I hope they do. I hope they love my content. Really, at the end of the day, it's about entertaining people and giving the audience a good ride. And that's why, that's my main thing with, my entertainment content, my gaming videos. The videos here where I just talk to the camera and just spill all my thoughts and just kind of ramble on in this professionalism kind of way. Just me in my office, just talking to the camera. That's what these videos are here for. But they're also for you guys, you future filmmakers or content creators, just looking for some advice or kind of some like, I guess kind of a guidance and kind of just like learning from my experience as well. But I think my curse with all these movies is I've wanted to create all these like different stories where I felt immersed in the moment, but realizing that I can never be immersed in my own films it's kind of like a curse, like I said before. But I kind of love that because I still enjoy watching them. I still laugh at the jokes. I still laugh at like, the moments and stuff, but I can never feel in the moment and focus with what's going on in the scene. I just keep thinking about the process of it and making it. And I think that's kind of how it's going to be forever. It might change where I make a few movies that are like, longer, like feature films, and I just feel so apart from it. But I think for me, I just feel so close with it because one, I am with it like the whole time. There is no writer, there's no editor. It's just me all the way through the process. So I feel like all these movies are kind of a part of me. And maybe like when I have more people kind of in the kitchen, and more crew members, producers, and maybe some like DPs, maybe I'll feel more immersed in the moment because it won't 100% be me. But at the moment with this next project in particular, I'm just kind of afraid that it won't be immersed for me, but I just hope it will be entertaining for my audience. And that's just kind of my focus right now, is just to entertain people, give people a good time and a good ride. But yeah, that's always the goal with making a movie, is to entertain your audience, give them something different, and challenge them, make them laugh, make them cry, and stuff. But that's just a few things that I learned the last year and a half of filmmaking. I've learned a lot. I had a lot of fun so far. Like I said before, this next project has been kind of crazy, and it's also crazy. Like Pick Up Arby's has been my last like major short film that I've done, and that's been almost like a year. It's been like 11 months since I came out. It's weird because 6 months ago I was working on The Sunshine State for 6 months, and then now I'm working on this project for 6 months. So it's been literally like a year since I made a project. The Sunshine State was a scrapped feature film that I did. And that film, the more clips I look back on it, some of them I cringe at, and some of them I think they're actually kind of genius. But I'm glad I scrapped it because I just think it's going to be way better in the future. And I have so many different ideas for that. This next project's going to be great also. But with that being said, if you are new to this channel, I do podcasts also, movie reviews, and other videos like this. With that being said, hope you have a good one. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.